What are the types of real estate investment strategies that are available to you today? Well, the first one and most common is a buy and hold. A buy and hold is when we purchase a property with the intent to rent it out for a certain period of time to pay down the mortgage. So, the three revenue streams that are generated from a typical buy and hold are the principal paydown on the principal amount of the mortgage owing, positive cash flow if we can find a property in a good area, and appreciation. If the property appreciates over the term and is worth more than what we paid for it, that is an equity gain and is a good way to make some money. The things we want to look out for are strong local and diversified economies. Increasing population growth is always a positive factor when looking for a local area to invest in. Good income versus cost ratio. So sometimes when we look at properties in lower cost areas, but they generate a good rental income due to the surrounding areas, say for example Lethbridge, Alberta, due to the high number of educational facilities, there's a lot of recurring turnover in the population in Lethbridge. So it generates higher rental income versus the cost of the property. And then good demographic. We want to try to find properties whereby there is a good local demographic and our properties are going to be looked after. Fix and flip or fix and rent. Now, this is a great strategy if you're in the construction industry or you've got good trade contractors that you can work with, and you've got good realtors that can find you properties that are below market value. So this is when we purchase a property with the intent to repair it and sell it, or repair it and rent it. So some of the revenue streams when we're utilizing this strategy are forced equity, or appreciation based on the purchase price, the cost to fix the property, and then the gain when we sell it. So typically known as ARV, after repair value. We can generate forced equity with the repairs as long as we're buying for below market value. Some other revenue streams in this scenario are refinancing the property. So if we purchase it for below market value, we fix the property up, the property is now worth more. Sometimes we can go back to the bank and pull out any equity that we may have generated by repairing that property. If you're going to rent it, same deal, we can generate positive cash flow, principal paid on the mortgage always, and if we're lucky enough, some appreciation. Rent to own. The rent to own is a great exit strategy, but you've got to be diligent, you've got to do your homework, and it's got to be win-win for everybody. So this is when we rent a property to a tenant that has an exclusive option to purchase the property. To be clear, the tenant is exactly that. A tenant with a separate option document which grants them the right to purchase the property within a certain time frame. It also allows them to simply walk away if they no longer want to purchase the property. However, in most cases, the option consideration they paid is not reimbursable. After you review and approve your tenant buyer's application, a term, a length of time is set and a purchase price is agreed on based on historical appreciation in that local area, multiplied by the term that they're going to rent the property for. So the tenant also pays an option consideration which eventually will go towards their down payment. This is paid at the time whereby they move into the property, at the very start of the deal. And your tenant buyer at the end will typically work with your mortgage broker to acquire the financing that they need to purchase the property from you. And then there's tenant first or property first for rent to own. So this is whereby you may have a good tenant buyer want to do a rent to own with you, and you can send them out. You can do an application with them and send them out with your realtor to go and look at a property that they would like to purchase within the price range that you agree on. So this is a great way to get into an investment property with an exit strategy already in place. And property first is when you own the property already, and you do a rent to own on that property. So some of the revenue streams: option consideration, which is a lump sum value that you get up front; set equity, you're essentially purchasing a property, or you already have a property which has a purchase price, and you agree with your tenant buyer to sell it for a certain amount of money in a few years' time. The principal paydown, so while the tenant buyer is in there renting the property, we're generating principal paydown. And then monthly cash flow. If we can generate a little bit of monthly cash flow, that's extra capital that you're going to make there. A lease option. This is a little bit more of an advanced strategy. A lease option is similar to a rent to own. The difference being that you would actually lease a property from somebody looking to sell. So you would have a lease with an option to purchase that property from the person you're leasing it off, and then you would go through the standard rent to own exit strategy. Agreement for sale. Now, this is a fantastic strategy, not only for you, but for somebody that's selling or needs to sell. It's also known as seller financing. So this essentially is where you would leave the mortgage in the seller's name and pay the seller's mortgage until such time as you wish to either sell the property or just continue to rent it out. You don't have to qualify for a mortgage because the financing stays in the seller's name. And you can help a seller get out of a sticky situation if they can no longer afford their property. You can often negotiate a lower price as a realtor is not required, so therefore there's no realtor commissions, and you can make the most of that. And often people will take what they owe on the property just to not have to pay their mortgage any longer. If you're going to employ any of these strategies, you want a good power team in place. Check out the power team video, but you'll want to have those industry professionals helping you through these deals. And you'll definitely want a lawyer to review any contracts that you may be using. And remember, every deal has to be win-win for everyone.